first child we will be talking about is Andrew. He is a 16-year-old male from Palo Alto, California. Although Andrew's family is well provided for, he experiences emotional neglect due to his parents constantly working. They are often unavailable and are less likely to provide warmth due to stress in the workplace, and were never educated on how to bond and create a strong relationship with their son. He spends most of his time without supervision and is put down by his parents when expressing himself. Over time, Andrew's lack of communication with his parents leads to more social isolation in the school environment, making it more difficult to establish friendships and gain consistent social support outside of the home. He begins to feel unworthy of happiness and falls into a depressive state, lacking motivation to succeed in school. The East Palo Alto neighborhood he lives in is known for its gang violence and issues with drug abuse and provides a hostile environment throughout his childhood. These dangerous surroundings influence his tendency to isolate himself as well as add to his detachment from school.
Andrew turns to drugs to cope with the neglect and unaffectionate relationship he has with his parents. He also uses drugs to help with his depression. Andrew turns to people in school who he thinks are his friends, but in reality use him for money for marijuana. He feels a sense of belonging with them, though he knows they are a bad influence, because he has no one else. According to a study done by Lambert, Gale, and Hartley, children whose parents are not present in their life engage in high-risk behavior such as using drugs. Andrew's grades started falling after getting involved with marijuana, and since his parents are not around, these friends were the best thing to him at the moment. His basketball coach has seen a difference in the way he's been acting because he's been using drugs, and his coach says that if he does not stop using marijuana, he would be kicked off the basketball team.
Andrew has high emotion regulation, which helps him calm himself down in difficult situations. He has played basketball all his life, which has increased his cognitive ability. Furthermore, individualism is valued in the United States, which is why Andrew is able to have a strong sense of identity.
One unique protective factor that Andrew holds is participating in an after-school sports and mentorship program. His mother has enrolled him in these programs since he was a young boy, and he actually enjoys them now. It helps him stay out of trouble by keeping him busy after school. Not only does Andrew enjoy playing basketball, he also enjoys spending time with his coach, which serves as a mentor for Andrew. According to Dawkins, athletic participation acts as a protective factor against drug and cigarette use.
Our second child is May. She is a 12-year-old female from China. Typical to the Chinese culture, May's parents play a more authoritative and strict role, where sharing emotions is uncommon and their relationship with their children is not warm. Because of their high expectations for academic success and commitment to traditional obligations of their culture, May is unable to find ways to communicate with her parents and express how she feels. Without social and emotional support from her parents, May is faced with the stress of entering preteen years and developing close friendships in school. She also feels extremely pressured to meet her parents' expectations in school, but is too afraid to reach out for help when she is struggling. According to Okado and Bierman, this can cause her to feel more irregular moods and be more insecure about herself, putting her at risk for depression later on in adolescence. In school, May is exposed to bullying amongst her classmates. She is sometimes targeted for not having many friends and is constantly surrounded by both boys and girls being violent towards one another. Because she is unable to express her concerns about being bullied, she continues to isolate her stress and perform worse in school.
With May being the only girl out of her two brothers, she is faced with gender pressures. May's family expects her to do the house chores and help cook while her two brothers go to school and play. May has a hard time balancing both school and chores, but gets through it because she wants to be successful in school. In Seberg's study, girls who continue their schooling gain confidence to further their education to find careers, resulting in disobeying their parents' ideas of a traditional lifestyle of marrying young and living the village lifestyle. May's mother also tells her that even though she is going to school, she should marry a man who is smart so she can become a housewife like her.
May has high emotion regulation, which helps her deal with community violence. She has high cognitive ability because it has been valued tremendously in the country that she lives in. China invests largely in education because it competes with other developing countries. Lastly, even though it is a collectivist environment, she has a strong sense of identity, which helps guide her dealing with peer pressure at school.
May has a positive relationship with her teacher. She has had the same teacher for 3 years now, which has helped her build a bond. She's able to talk to her teacher about anything, from school to family issues to peer pressure, and she's able to get advice from a wise and experienced person. These types of relationships serve as protective factors, especially for Chinese students. Positive relationships with teachers boost the self esteem and encourage positive behavior. Teachers also increase the child's confidence in their academic abilities, which can lead the child to have higher academic achievement both in school and in life.
Our third child we will talk about is Amar. He is a 14-year-old male from Nepal. During childhood, Amar experienced emotional neglect through his relationship with his father. Although he and his mother share positive experiences, Amar's father was once violent, controlling, dismissive, and insensitive to the emotional needs of the family. This family conflict eventually caused Amar's father to leave the home. Amar's family faces many financial hardships as their sources of income are minimal, and his poor neighborhood is unable to provide resources to support one another. He becomes overwhelmed with the pressure to take care of his family as health issues arise due to lack of nutrition, clean environments, and access to primary care. He feels responsible for his family members getting sick and is disappointed in himself for being unable to have a solution, increasing his risk of depression. In his small and traditional community, Amar also deals with religious persecution through exposure to community violence. He is often worried that he or his family members will one day be caught in the wrong place at the wrong time and seeks to keep them safe at home as much as possible.
Amar loves his mother and four younger siblings and has taken a role to be the man of the house. Though Amar helps his mother take care of his siblings and works at a young age, it stops him from going to school. Amar chooses to work because he needs to support his family. Also, the nearest school is 3 hours away from where Amar lives. In Shields and Rapalai's study, there is inequality in the education system in Nepal, having rural areas lack education compared to urban areas. Amar would like to go to school to have a better life, but unfortunately does not have the opportunity to because of how far it is and because he needs to make an income to survive.
Having high emotion regulation helps Amar act as a role model to his four younger siblings. Due to his experiences, he has been forced to grow up faster and understand his purpose. Also, even though there is a lack of education in Nepal, Amar's mother has taught him many skills that contributed to his high cognitive ability.
One unique protective factor that plays a huge role in Amar's life is having nutritional programs in Nepal. Malnutrition is a huge issue in this country, where over 50% of children are considered underweight or malnourished. There are a few programs that help out these children, and Amar is involved in one of them. Nepal's vitamin A program is highly successful in reducing the mortality rate in malnourished children. It provides doses of vitamins to children who need it the most. Vitamin A, along with other nutritional programs, serve as protective factors towards the children living in Nepal. This is extremely helpful for Amar. In conclusion, Andrew, May, and Amar deal with emotional neglect, depression, and community violence. They cope with it through emotional regulation, having high cognitive skills, and having a strong sense of identity. Though all deal with the same risk factors and use the same protective factors to help them throughout their lives, they do so in many different ways. Andrew, May, and Amar also deal with unique risk factors in their countries, as well as have unique protective factors that help them out. With the use of their protective factors, it helps each individual overcome their hardships, making Andrew, May, and Amar resilient in their own ways.